Hey, what's going on, guys? Chris with SBC. And today we're going to be talking about regurgitation. If you're watching this video, you're probably having problems with regurgitation. We've all kind of been there. I've been there once. I'm going to give you my experience with it, as well as tell you things that it could be being caused by and how to get your animals eating healthy again. So let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so first things first, let's go ahead and take a look at this guy right here. This is who's going to be keeping us company today. This is Anki. He is my Hypo Inca Jungle, and he is 100% Het VPI, or 100% Het VPI, and he is 50% Het for type 2 anery. Just look at this marbling this guy's got on his sides, patterns, trying to reach out to the camera there. On his tail, he's got that beautiful inverted Inca tail pattern. He's got such pinks on him, grays. He's just marbled all the way down his sides. I know this camera is not going to pick it up completely, but this guy is amazing looking. At some point in time, I'm going to try and prove out that type 2 anery. I've got something else as possible Het for type 2 anery. We'll just see what comes of that. It's a 66% Het. If you want to see what direction Shadow Boa Constrictors is going into, I do have a specific girlfriend coming for him this coming week. Going to be doing the unboxing for that. If you want to stay tuned for that, don't miss it. Definitely some big things happening for Shadow Boa Constrictors. So, you've probably seen the snake in recent videos. That was Helios. Helios is my Cal Albino Sunglow Motley. And when I first got him, he was my regurgitation incident. I had never really dealt with it before that. I knew how to deal with it, but I never had to. It was kind of a scary moment, and I didn't really know all the causes for why they could regurgitate. I just knew that, you feed them too big of a meal. So that's one reason. If you feed your animals too big of a meal, they can regurgitate on you. And any type of regurgitation event wreaks havoc on these guys' stomachs. So they take a little while to bounce back. You definitely don't want to feed right away after. So what happened with me was a toxicity event. When he was sent to me, for one, the breeder didn't mention that he had just eaten before he got sent. And so I'm unboxing him, pull him out, look him over, and the first thing that catches my eye is that there's mites on the snake. I'm like, oh shoot. I don't want mites, so I immediately go into treatment mode. I always keep mite spray around just in case, because you never know. Like, we're around other people's collections and stuff all the time. We go to reptile shows and everything, and we take every precaution that we should whenever we're getting a new animal into our collections. Make sure you're doing your quarantine due diligence. But so, I'm giving him a soak every few days and doing the reptile spray on him, and I think the stress was just too much for him, as well as with the mite spray just after he'd eaten. And like I said, I didn't know that he had eaten. The breeder didn't disclose that to me, so I had him regurgitate. He just went and looked in his cage just to check on him for a daily check. I peer in there and I'm like, what the heck is that? It's just a mouse in there, and it smells the high heaven. It's probably been about 3-4 days since he had eaten that meal. It's half digested, smelled awful. I I was worried for a little bit because it was like between the mites and between him regurgitating, I was like, oh man, we're gonna lose this snake, He did end up pulling through for me, I ended up being able to get his mites completely under control. He's been mite free forever now. It's been like 3 years. And he has been eating very fine ever since. He's one of my absolute most puppy dog snakes that I have. So let's get into the different reasons for why your snake might regurgitate. For one, your snake might regurgitate because you have fed it too big of a meal. If your snake regurgitates after you feed it too big of a meal, most of these treatments are going to be about the same. Okay, so one of the best things that you can do after your animal has regurgitated is wait. A lot of people's first instinct is to immediately try and feed them again. Oh, I gave them a meal that was too big. Let me give them something smaller so that way they have something in their belly. Well, these guys have certain enzymes in their bellies that help and aid with digestion. They're not like me and you. Like if we throw up, then we still have enzymes in our stomach that we can eat and still digest food. They don't. So you gotta give them time to let those enzymes kind of build back up. Let their stomach, their digestive system recover. You give them about a 2-week period. That's why I always say give them about a 2 to 3 week period. They'll be fine without that next meal. It's okay. Then give them a meal that is smaller than what you would typically give them. So if you're feeding them a large mouse, feed them a medium mouse. Something that's smaller and easier for them to be able to digest. And you'll do that for probably 2 feedings. You do that for 2 feedings. I always feed on a frequency of once every 2 weeks. But you do that for the course of 2 feedings. And then after that, you should be safe to give them their regular sized meal as well. Long as it is an appropriate sized meal. You never want to go bigger than the widest part of their stomach, widest part of their body. However you want to measure it. I always say you should be a little bit smaller, but that's me. Some people will say I underfeed my boa constrictors. I really don't. These are reptiles. They're different from me and you. We got to separate that human emotion from reptile emotion. All right, so that's one of the big reasons. Watch your meal size. As long as you're feeding an appropriate sized meal, you should not have an animal regurgitate from a meal size. What is the next reason that they could regurgitate? If you have an animal regurgitate, you gave them the proper size meal, and they regurgitate on you like 2-3 days later, and you're like, well, why'd that happen? Check your temperatures. I always say check your temperatures regularly. You should be checking your temperatures regularly. If you're checking your temperatures in the wintertime, your temperatures are good then. Go back, check your temperatures again during the summertime. Make sure you're not getting too hot. Make sure you're not getting too cold. Just check your temperatures, dude. If your temperatures are too low after they've eaten, they need that belly heat or that heat in general to be able to digest that meal. These guys are cold-blooded animals. They can't do the work themselves. So if their temperature starts dropping below that 88 to 95 degree hot spot, that they can't sit on a spot to be able to digest their meal, that meal begins to rot inside their belly, and then they're going to regurgitate on you from that. And you're going to do the same thing, wait that 2 weeks, 3 weeks before you give them a meal again, something smaller. It's the same ordeal, same practice, until you get them eating their regular size meal again. So that's 2 reasons right there. Reason 3 could be toxicity. Like I was saying, it's kind of something similar that happened to Helios. I'm still not sure if it was just a mix of everything and then maybe his temperatures got too low. I don't know. I really didn't know with that case. It was just, there was so much happening at one time I couldn't find one reason. But if you have to treat for mites, I would always say don't feed at the time that you are treating for mites, because mite spray makes these guys a little bit more sensitive, you know. It's still a toxic product, you know. Things can happen. You know, a lot of times people will use things like no pest strip to try and treat for mites, or they'll try and use a very highly toxic mite spray or mite preventative, and they turn around and, you know, they regurgitate from that. So if you have to treat for mites, I would definitely make sure that you're not over treating, for one. And that's a whole different separate video topic, but make sure that you aren't using toxic substances for these guys, like no pest strip and maybe even too much reptile spray just after they've eaten a meal. I would definitely recommend that if you are treating for mites, just hold off on feeding in general. You go through that 2-week cycle, that period of treating, and then maybe give them a meal and watch to see if they have their mites come back or anything, and then go back to treatment after they've finished digesting. You know, a lot of people don't tell us about this kind of stuff. We have to figure it out on our own. And that's kind of what I'm here to, like, help you guys. You know, I want to help out these people who are newer and who are trying to figure it out, navigate their way. But those are the 3 different reasons that I have found that these guys will regurgitate on you. It's going to be one from toxicity or stress relation, or they are going to regurgitate on you because they don't have enough heat, or they have eaten a meal that is too big for them. And then standard practice to get them eating again is always going to be the same. Hold off for 2 to 3 feedings. You hold off during that time period. Give them something smaller. If you feed them a large mouse, give them a medium mouse. Let them digest that. It's easy for them to digest a smaller meal than it is a bigger meal. Do that for 2 feedings, and then bring them to their regular appropriate sized meal. And then you should have your boa back on its way, and it should be eating appropriately again for you, and it will be healthy for you going forwards. But I hope this helps you guys out. If this helped you out, great. Like, subscribe. I want to see you guys' boas in the comments. Post what you guys are keeping. Post what you guys have. Take pictures. Put it in the bottom. Like, subscribe. Send this to a friend if it helps you out. Appreciate it. And until next time, happy keeping.